Aston Villa have rejected West Ham's latest offer for Jhon Duran. It was £32 million, plus Lewis Orford, plus a sell-on clause, meaning we buy Duran, and if and when we sell him in the future, they get a slice of that transfer fee, a slice of profit, something like that. The details were never disclosed. Well, Aston Villa rejected it anyway, so it really is not that important. That's primarily what I want to talk about today. I don't overly want to get into, in any detail, the Lewis Orford situation, because I don't like the fact that he was included in a deal, if indeed that is the truth. I want him to stay at West Ham. I don't want him used as a make-weight. Myself and Gio did a video only the other day on Patreon, and we did a mug of tea on Patreon. And one of the questions was, who's going to be the breakthrough player this season? Myself and Gio both said it'd be Lewis Orford. He was, in many respects, it's easier to say George Urphy because he's sort of already started to do it, but we both thought Lewis Orford. So neither of us want him to go. I think it's probably fair to speak to Gio on that one as well. What I do hope will happen, though, and I think the biggest thing that can happen in this is for him to be able to concentrate on his football, to be selected for the first friendly, well, for both friendlies, and a good old US of A, and for Lopetegui to pick him and start him in the team. That is the best signal it would send to Lewis Orford. It would send a great signal to the fans, and it would also send a signal to whoever's negotiating on the, from West Ham's side, be it Tim Stuyton or David Sullivan. It would send a big signal there. That's the head coach saying, I want to keep this guy. I want to keep this player. That's what I want to happen. But I also want to keep that separate from what I'm talking about, which is, I think Aston Villa have probably pushed a little bit too hard in this instance with Jhon Duran. We are dealing with potential after all. And I certainly think that West Ham have turned down the opportunity to sign players because they were too expensive. And in many respects, because he's unproven, and he is unproven, Duran, this was the cheap option. Well, it ceased to be the cheap option. So if they've turned down £32 million, would I be unrealistic in suggesting that Orford might be between 5 and 10? He's England under-18 captain. He's a next player due to come through. Very highly regarded indeed. Even last season, he was a 17-year-old playing in the under-21s. He was better than pretty much all the under-21s he played against. I mean, very, very good, talented player. Clearly, looks like he's going to make it. And then you've got the sell-on fee, the sell-on clause. What's that going to be? 5-10 million? Basically, I think it's quite easy to make the case that this transfer would be 45 to 50 million once you factored in Lewis Orford and a buyout clause. That's not a cheap transfer. That's not potential. That's a lot more than we paid for Mohamed Kudus. And I just don't think West Ham should be paying it. I really don't. Clearly money's tight. We know money's tight. That's why we tried to structure the deal for Todibo. And that's why we wanted to pay it next year, basically. It was on the Never Never, wasn't it? We've all done it. We've all done it for our Hoover, right? But to be fair, we all haven't got a turnover of £300 million a year, have we? Which like West Ham have. So, West Ham don't have to do that. But clearly money's a little bit tight on that scale, right? So I just don't think we can afford to do that. And we hear that we've had to turn down Jonathan David because his wages were too expensive. But he had really expensive wages, yet you can probably buy him for about 20-25 million. I doubt there's a lot of difference in the deals then between him and Duran. Would Duran cost less wages? Yes, he would. But he's going to cost a lot more in a transfer fee. Ivan Toney, I don't like the Ivan Toney one. I've discussed it many, many times. I think he's a good player. Well, an excellent player, not just a good player. Don't want to damn him with faint praise. But 28, 29 next birthday, you're not getting anything back on that. It's going to be an expensive transfer. But it comes a point, as I say, where you look at it and think, bloody hell, this Jhon Duran, that's an expensive transfer as well. I think the thing that really caught my attention was when, because so much news happened yesterday and it all travelled so fast, was when Fabrizio Romano said Villa have rejected the offer. Negotiations are still ongoing. I thought, okay. I think that's quite a statement from West Ham. For Villa to say we're not accepting that, and then for West Ham to keep talking. I think if I were Aston Villa, I'd be thinking, hello, I quite like this. They've still not walked away. I mean, it's the art of a good negotiation, right? Knowing when to walk away. It's the old Kenny Rogers, the gambler. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and all that stuff. Funny enough, I did actually do a West Ham based song. It was based on David Sullivan about me. It was, if you know the tune of the gambler, the Kenny Rogers tune. It's about a guy who shares a train with a really, really good gambler, and he gives him some tips and he gives him some advice. It's a great song, great tune. I did actually rewrite it with me and David Sullivan being on the train. I'll dig it up somewhere. Maybe a song for another day, so to speak. But and certainly some of the lyrics might have to change in light of a lot's changed in the last 2 years, really, hasn't it? But anyway, we have to know when to walk away from this negotiation, and I do believe that's now. I do. Call their bluff, whatever the case may be. Actually, just walk away. Not even any bluffing, but you have to go and you have to put bids in for other strikers. You have to have alternatives. In many respects, I like the way that we've done the business. If pardon the expression, I like that. Disgusting. I like the way we've conducted our transfer affairs. Let's put it that way. With the right back, Mazraoui, as we like to say, we like to call him. I think that is actually what he's called, unless I got it wrong. Aaron Wan-Bissaka turned us down, apparently. He said, don't want to come to West Ham, that's fine. And Southampton were playing hardball. And it's been really, really difficult to get the deal done for Kyle Walker-Peters. Well, you know what? Aston Villa are sort of playing hardball as well, aren't they now? But I like the way we did it with Southampton. We turned around and said, no, you don't. Op it, sort of thing. We're going to go for our... I guess he was our third choice, wasn't he? And I like that. I like that. And do you know what? At a point where we couldn't do business with either Manchester United for Wan-Bissaka or Southampton for Kyle Walker-Peters, we've gone to Bayern Munich and said, there you go, there's the deal. And the deal's good. Apparently the deal's something like 16 million euros plus add-ons. And actually that ain't bad. Particularly when you look at, I know I discussed him at length yesterday, but when you look at the player's versatility, I was a bit worried it might cost a fortune to replace Ben Johnson. I don't think this is going to cost a fortune as a transfer. So I think we've done that pretty well. But forget that. I think my point is we were able to say to Southampton, do you know what? If we can't agree to deal with Kyle Walker-Peters, don't worry, we'll go and get somebody else. We've done it. We've actually done it. It's not a bluff. And this is what we have to do. Now, there would have been an opportunity at the point where it's been leaked. It could still happen now because, look, until the guy's holding up the shirt and all the rest of it, he's not signed for West Ham. So there's nothing to stop Southampton coming in and scuppering the deal and saying, oh, actually, we didn't think you were serious. OK, here's Kyle Walker-Peters. You can have him for whatever the case may be. But the Kyle Walker-Peters transfer got a bit juicy. They started to want 25 million for him, plus his wages, which were over 70 grand a week. That's much, much bigger. Much bigger than what I don't know. But whatever it is, wages Mazraoui is getting, it's going to be nothing like that. I would imagine he'll be on 50, 60, something like that. And obviously the transfer fee is significant. There's not a difference between £25 million and 16 million euros. So, you know, there's it makes sense. We just got to do it with a striker. We absolutely have to do it. Too much. Let me know what you think. I think I've sort of got a bit of a steer on what you think. 'Cause I've been reading a lot of the comments. I know obviously yesterday's comments were pertaining to the right-back situation. But at the same time as I released that video, the news broke about Duran and Lewis Orford, and a lot of you posted your comments in there anyway. So, you know, it's sort of all got dirtied the waters. You dirtied the right-back waters with striker talk, I noticed. And so I think I get a steer that a lot of you are starting to feel that I think the Duran stuff's getting a little bit too pricey, a little bit too rich. I'll tell you this now, before I finish, I can't see anyone else paying it. I don't think anyone else. Clearly, Villa are pushing for a package that is that is between 40 and 50 million. No one else is going to pay that. Nobody. Look, I will happy to be proven corrected, but I don't think so. And you know what? Then it's up to them. They either keep him and then they can't do the extra bit of business that they wanted to do, which I think was João Felix. Apparently, they want João Felix. They need to sell Duran to fund that. Or they get left a very, very unhappy player on their hands who's not going to be playing. Ollie Watkins, rightly so. Ollie Watkins should be playing up front for Aston Villa next season. obviously they've got Champions League and blah, 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 so on and so forth. But we have to be willing, like that gambler, we have to be willing to walk away, to hold them, to fold them, to walk away, all that sort of stuff. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And I'm sure when I'm reading through those comments, I'll probably find you talking about something completely different altogether, because the news is moving so fast, that you can't keep up. So honestly, do not be surprised tomorrow if by the time this video is, because I'm doing it late at night, by the time this video is live and a couple of hours old, it's actually, we've signed Kyle Walker-Peters, and actually we've signed Duran, and hopefully Lewis Orford has signed a 6-year contract.